Good morning. I'm Harley Schlanger from the LaRouche Organization with your daily video update for October 26, 2023. Well, we're in the middle of a situation which raises a question, that of the moral mental disconnect of President Biden and his war hawk advisors, who at the same time are calling for increased humanitarian support for the Palestinian people of Gaza, while he's giving full, complete support to the Israelis, who are conducting a murderous siege against the civilian population. You have this absolutely contradictory point of view, including the U.S. vetoing a resolution for a ceasefire at the United Nations. Biden says he's working with U.S. partners to provide more aid. But more aid to what? At a point when the food, water, and medicine are being cut off from the people of Gaza. Why not stop that, end the siege, have a ceasefire as opposed to a humanitarian pause? Why not use U.S. influence on Israel to demand that the bombardment of civilians end? Well, right now we're being told that more than 1/3 of Gaza's hospitals lack fuel and medicine, as streams of desperate civilians who have been told to leave their homes in the north are streaming to the south, many of them wounded, sick, and with no place to go. So while Biden calls for more aid and continuing to express support for the siege, there's no solution. There's no attempt to get out of the cycle of violence and war. Is it possible that he and his neocon advisors can't see this? Because the rest of the world does see it. To most of the world, the U.S. policy confirms that the military-industrial complex war hawks are in control of the United States, the ones responsible for death and destruction in endless wars, and since 2001, are using those wars and color revolutions, assassinations, and so on to keep their unipolar order in control. This is the so-called rules-based order that U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken keeps talking about. Where are the rules? The rules are the rules that fit the maintenance of control in the hands of the corporate cartels who run the U.S. government. And anyone who challenges the immorality and the insanity is accused of being pro-terrorist and anti-Semitic. And this is by the same people, such as the Anti-Defamation League, who have not raised a peep about the thunderous ovations given a Ukrainian Nazi in the Canadian Parliament in the presence of Prime Minister Trudeau and Ukraine's President Zelensky. Now, it appears that the cynical ploy of the Biden administration of flanking growing opposition to Ukraine funding in Congress by linking it to aid to Israel may work. Republicans in the House, including many who voted to oust former Speaker Kevin McCarthy for making a secret deal with the Democrats to keep the funds flowing for Ukraine, they just voted for a new House Speaker who's linked to extreme pro-Israel Christian fundamentalist groups, which means that without a major mobilization, Biden's proposed $100 billion package for aid to Ukraine and Israel may pass, despite the opposition to the war against Russia and Ukraine and the growing budget deficit, which threatens the future of the U.S. economy. So this is what the question of the disconnect is. War, continued war, has increased the budget deficit, not just the current deficit, but the interest on previous wars, the trillions of dollars that have gone down the rat hole for wars against the people of Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, and Ukraine. This is a major part of the budget deficit, combined with the growing debt owed to corporate cartels, which is being funded by the flow of funds from the Federal Reserve. Well, they're cutting off funds to the productive economy in the United States. Now, it's It's worth noting that the neocons responsible for the Iraq War, such as Cheney's former Chief of Staff Scooter Libby, Douglas Feith of PNAC, and others, are promoting conferences demanding U.S. now act against Iran, another war. They're lining up with warhawks like Elliot Abrams to build support for Nikki Haley. The Wall Street Journal just had an article, Biden's red line moment in Iran. And it's raising the whole question of why is Biden not acting to attack the Iranian government, whether with new sanctions, with economic attacks, and possibly military strikes. So we have an escalation to World War III building, whether Ukraine, Southwest Asia, or Taiwan, and an accelerating collapse of the physical economy in the West. So where are the voices of sanity? The London Economist, the magazine that's the voice of the City of London, has an article as its lead story in this new issue. Can America handle 2 wars and maybe a third? That's what they're hoping to get the U.S. into, to keep the U.S. in full support of the global unipolar order. Now, Politico reports that there's still opposition among Republicans to the package that Biden introduced, saying it's in big trouble. The question I have for many of our viewers is, will MAGA Republicans and others who are opponents of the permanent war, will they succumb to the neocons through the linkage of the Ukraine war and defense spending with Israel? That's the question we have to answer. So it's been never more urgent for your voice to be heard. I'm sorry for this. I have caught a cold in the last days, but I'll be fine. The question is, will we be fine? Will the world be fine? I want you to hear what Helga Zepp-LaRouche said yesterday. So I'll be linking her weekly webcast to the description page. But here's what she said. We are sitting on a complete powder keg, and an intervention is absolutely necessary. She went on to say, we must shift the balance because the alternative is straight into hell. So that's the question that's posed to all of us. Will we show the courage to speak out and fight now at the point where the neocon warhawks are on a full-scale war drive that threatens the life of everyone on the planet? Tomorrow is Friday. I'll be taking your questions as I do every Friday. And I urge you, listen to Helga Zepp-LaRouche's webcast because you'll get much more detail on the craziness of the world situation and more insight as to what we can do through the International Peace Coalition to change the agenda. Thanks for joining me. Send me your questions at harleysch@gmail.com. Hello, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Support our independence to produce videos like these. Become a member of the LaRouche organization at thelarouche.org/member. By becoming a member for $25 or more, you'll get special access to the EIR Alert Daily Briefing and Weekly Magazine, which is what I read to stay on top of things.